In this series of videos, we're going to be reading from a file. Now, so far, whenever we've been wanting to get something from outside the program, we've asked the user for it, and we've had them enter things using Clion, right? But sometimes the data that we want is in a file, and so we need to learn how to be able to read from a file. Well, to do that, notice there's already some pound includes up here. Those are for other items that we're going to be using. But to do for a file, we need to pound include ifstream. So we pound include the header file ifstream, and in that header file, there are multiple different data types that we can use, and one of them is an ifstream object. This is for an input file stream, and we're going to start with that. So input file stream, that's the type, and now we can give it a name, and I'm going to call it in. It's a variable name, so I can call it whatever I want, and that it's an ifstream object. And I've given a name in. And what we want to do is, now that we have this ifstream, we want to open it. So to do that, we're going to be using lots of methods that go with this object. So it turns out that the ifstream class has lots of methods that we can use, and we're going to be calling these. And the way we do that is use the name of the variable, in, and then the dot, and you can find the different methods that are available. And what we want to do is we want to open it. So we're going to use the open method. And the open method expects a string that has the name of the file. And the name of the file we want to open is age.txt. And then we put a semicolon there, and then we can run it. So here we've defined a variable of type ifstream, and we've opened it, and now we run it. And everything looks fine, but it isn't. So one of the things we want to make sure is, we couldn't tell from just running it, so we have to actually ask the question, is whenever we have an input file, we want to make sure it opens, right? Because if it doesn't exist, the program can't, if it can't find it, then it can't open it, it can't get any data from it. So whenever we have an input file, we always want to test it. And the way that we test it is we ask, one of the ways, there's actually multiple ways, but one way we're going to do is another method. So we use in dot, and the method now is fail. And what fail does is it returns true if there's a problem. So if it can't find the file, if it can't open it for some other reason, that fail flag will be true. And when you call in.fail, it will return true. So if that happens, we know there's a problem and we want to handle it. So what we're going to do is, if that does fail, then we're going to print out an error message. Unable to open file, and we're going to shut down. Now, why are we going to shut down? Because if we are expecting data for our program to work and we can't open the file, then we can't get that data. And there's nothing, and we can't run the program, right? Without the data, it doesn't work. So we're going to shut down. The way that we're going to do that, first we're going to give a message so that whoever's running the program gets this message and understands why it's shutting down. And the way we're going to shut it down is with the return statement, right? We simply put a return here. What does return do? It exits from this program, right? It exits main and shuts down the program. Now, normally we return 0, and that's a signal that, hey, we got to the end of the program, everything worked fine, we're just done. Now, this time we're going to return a different value. We're going to return 1. That indicates, oh, the program shut down. Things didn't go as planned. So we're going to do a return 1. So let's go ahead and run the program now. Well, before we do that, let's just let it write a little note here so we can see where we end up if we actually leave or not. So just hello. And then we'll see what path this takes, if that actually prints out or not. So we run it. And what we get is unable to open to file, shutting down. And notice that it didn't ever get to the hello there. It tried to open the file. Something went wrong, so fail returned true. We put down a message and returned 1, and the program is shut down. So something went wrong. Let's see if we can figure out what went wrong. If you look over here on the left, there's a file in the reading files folder. So it's in the main project folder called age.txt. That's what we're looking for. What's the problem here? Well, it turns out with location, and this location will vary depending on the development environment that you're using. So I'm going to be showing you how this will work in CLion. So notice also in the project folder is another folder called cmake-build-debug. This is a folder that CLion adds. And if we go in that, we see that there's other folders and other files. So we go into the bin folder, and there is a main.exe file. This is actually the executable file for this program. And we can run this program outside of CLion. If you just go to your File Explorer, you need to be, this is the project folder, reading files. I go inside there. There's that age.txt. There's our source folder, right? This is where we're working. So there's our main.cpp. We go back up. There's that cmake-build-debug folder that CLion adds. If we go in there and then go inside the build folder, there's that executable file. Now I'm going to double click on it and you watch really careful. Did you see it flash and go away? I'll do it again. Double click. It runs the program. What's doing is it's running that program. It's coming up and saying, unable to open the file, shutting down, and it closes the program. Now in CLion, it captures that output and shows it to you. But when we just run it outside of CLion, the whole program runs. And unless there's a pause or it's waiting for input, it opens and closes really quickly. So that's where the executable is. And when it's running, what it's doing is during runtime, it's looking for this file. Well, did you see that in that folder in there, there's no file called age.txt in there. So we need to give it directions of where to go. It's in the project file folder. So what it has to do is it has to go up one folder, up a second folder, and then it's in that project folder. So the way we tell it to go up a folder is with a ... That says go up one folder, then a ... go up another folder. And notice how we just prepended it, just put it at the front of the name of that file. So we put that go up two folders, and then we put the file name. Okay, so now let's run it and see what happens. And there it comes up and says hello there. So what did it do? It opened this ifstream object. Fail was false because nothing went wrong. So it skipped that if statement and printed out hello there. And now we've got that file open and we're ready to read from it.